Alright, so with The Flash hitting theaters this weekend, I thought it was time to go over all of the DCEU films and rank all of them from best to worst. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyson, and we are here to talk about movies. That's right, we do movie reviews, movie trailer reactions, movie rankings like this one. We cover major movie news. We do it all here on the channel, so if that is something you would like to see more, please stick around, subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to have you guys along for that journey. Alright, so, like I said, The Flash, it's here, it's in theaters. It's a decently fun time. I didn't love the movie as much as other people, but I want to say definitely go out and see it if you're a fan of this DC universe. I want to also say, before we get into my list here, that's exactly right. It is my list. These are my opinions. So not everything's going to live up to yours, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How would you rank all these films, and what do you think of the DCEU as a whole? Very interested to find out. Let's get started with number 14, and that is Birds of Prey, The Emancipation of Harley Quinn. Oh, this one was a huge disappointment for me. I was excited to see this one. I went into the TCL theater for a great showing, and I walked out of it disappointed and kind of wondering, what the F was that? I mean, I just don't know what happened here. The story just didn't work for me whatsoever, and I actually know a good amount of people that did enjoy this film. But for me, it just didn't even add up at all to what I was wanting. I don't like that Harley Quinn kind of got sidelined in this movie, and I didn't feel like she was the center of it like she should have been. Ewan McGregor didn't even work as the villain for me. I don't remember much about this film, and that's just kind of how bad it is in my opinion. So it comes in at number 14. Coming in at number 13, we have Wonder Woman 1984. Another disappointing sequel. I love the first Wonder Woman. I really do. And I love Gal Gadot in this role. I love Patty Jenkins as a director. I just don't know what happened here with this one. I think the way that they brought back Steve Trevor was awful. He died a great death, really, in the first movie. You should have kept him dead. Cheetah in here, played by Kristen Wiig. I love Kristen Wiig. Cheetah did not work for me at all. Also, the CGI in her was awful, and the CGI in this movie as a whole was just bad as well. I don't know what they exactly were going for here. I can't remember much of the story, but from the parts I can remember, the villain lacked. The hero I thought, was taken in an awful direction. The story was really non-existent to me and very, very weak. A disappointment. So that's why it comes in at 13. Coming in at number 12, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Now, this is a film I was very much looking forward to, as I enjoy the first Shazam quite a bit, actually. But this one and Helen Mirren's in this film. I love Helen Mirren. She is phenomenal. And she was kind of the main villain here. They did nothing. The villain's lackluster. The story, again, lackluster. If you can't tell, the story is a huge problem with the DCEU, in my opinion, so far. And this one is just a greater example of that. You know, you have this story of family kind of being the center again, which is the part of the film that worked very, very well for me. I like the family aspects here in the movies of Shazam, and I thought that the second one was no exception. But Zachary Levi here also, he kind of played Billy as still this 16, 15-year-old kid when he's actually supposed to be 18. And you didn't see an 18-year-old as Shazam. You still saw that immature 15 to 16-year-old kid, where I think that was a huge disservice of the character of Shazam by far. The humor in here did not work. It fell flat for me. The visual effects of the dragon, actually, I thought were pretty cool. Lucy Liu was great in here. Rachel Zegler, I do like in this film quite a bit, but those are the only positives, really, and I don't need to watch this film again. Alright, so with that being said, coming in at number 11, we have the original Suicide Squad. This one I like a little bit more than some people, but that third act in this villain is just, it's crap. Let's just call it's crap. It really is. This one could flip back with Shazam! Fury of the Gods, but I have this one above it because I do love Will Smith in here as Deadshot. I love Harley Quinn in here, played by Margot Robbie. I think absolutely brilliant, for sure. The Joker of Jared Leto in here, I not the biggest fan. I don't hate it. It does work for me a little bit, but I just don't love it at all. Like I think we were all supposed to. Amanda Waller in here, played by the incredible, phenomenal Viola Davis, is a huge saving grace of this film in my eyes, and the best part of it. But that's because I adore her, think she's phenomenal. But she alone can't save this movie. The story, like I said, in the third act just goes completely downhill. The CGI is pretty bad in that as well. I just think we could have gotten a lot better, and we just didn't. So, with that being said, coming in at number 10, we have Justice League. This film, directed by Zack Snyder, of course, but finished kind of by Joss Whedon, that whole debacle here. I really wanted to love this film. I went into it liking it a lot more than I do now. After a couple rewatches, it just keeps on going further and further down in my opinion of it. I think they rushed. They did want to keep up with the MCU here, and they rushed putting everybody together, and they did an awful job doing it. The story, the villain was subpar at best. We have cool moments in here, for sure, no doubt. It's not a horrible movie, but it's not a great movie either, like it was supposed to be. Like, a lot of people, I think, had hope for it, but the lead up and everything in here that we got to it was not a lot, and I think that's why it failed too, is we didn't have a lot of time to spend with these characters in order to care about them, in order to have a great story around them. If we would have had that time, I think this film would have ended up a little bit differently. So that's why Justice League doesn't quite work for me. It's number 10. Coming in at number 9, this is a huge controversial take. The style of the film just didn't work for me. So coming in at number 9, we have The Suicide Squad. Yeah, I know. It's directed by James Gunn, who I absolutely adore. I think he is phenomenal, and I love his direction. However, this story and these cast of characters just didn't quite do it for me. I didn't resonate with them a lot as much as other people did. I know. I am definitely in the minority. I will admit that. Just didn't work for me with what I wanted. It was too silly, and the characters were a little too out there. Polka Dot Man was, just why? And Peacemaker is great. Peacemaker is definitely the saving grace to me in this film. I love, and I do, again, love Harley Quinn in here as well. The comedy in here works actually very well. The action scenes are pretty good for the most part, but I just couldn't get behind. The story was too silly. The characters were too silly enough. Just not my kind of movie here, but I get why people do love this one so much. Sadly, I'm just not in that camp. All right, coming in at number 8, we have Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This film does give some of the best Ben Affleck as Batman scenes, hands down. I think he is phenomenal in here as Batman. I love his take on the character. Henry Cavill, of course, is great as Superman as well. But Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg is a great actor. Not a great film, though. And Lex Luthor fell flat for me. The whole them fighting between each other happened only for a short amount of time. And then Wonder Woman came on in here, and it was kind of just a team up of those three. And that was a huge disappointment, because the movie's called Batman v Superman. You think there'd be a lot of fighting between the two characters? No. There's like 10, 20 minutes, maybe not even that. There's a lot of dialogue back and forth between them, but that's about it. It just, I felt like, was pretty mismarketed, actually, for what it actually is. And the whole Martha thing, I mean, I can't get behind that. Just lazy writing, lazy storytelling, and not great development of characters. It comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7, we have Black Adam. I love this movie a lot more than other people. I'm fully aware of it. I love The Rock. I think he's great. I love Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. I think his visual effects and how his character is handled is phenomenal, and a lot of it is, well, he's a lot of the saving grace of this movie. But I had a great time watching this in the theater, and all the way until when the third act started, I thought this was a great, fun film. I really did. Is it one of the best made movies in the DCEU? No, but that's just not how I categorize this list for me. How much fun did I have? Was it a great theater experience? And can I rewatch this film more than others? I can. I have as well. I've rewatched it a good amount of times since then. But that third act is pretty terrible. The whole villain aspect is just blatantly bad. The CGI with him is not that good, and that's where the storytelling really, really falls down. I love the kid in this one. I love his relationship with Black Adam. I think The Rock actually does a fantastic job in here. Dwayne really does carry this movie, I think, well. I know we won't get a sequel to this. I don't think we'll see him back as this. Hawkman worked great, and his relationship with Dr. Fate was very special, and I love to see that on screen. Coming in at number 6, we have Shazam. This is the first Shazam movie with Zachary Levi, and I love the villain here, played by Mark Strong. I love the family dynamic. I love his foster parents as well, and the whole sibling dynamic is great. We get a great kid in Billy Madison, obviously struggling at the time, but needs to feel loved and love himself in order to become who he is meant to be. And that is what I love most about this movie, is it's really grounded, I feel like, in a family, and it's grounded in finding out who you are, believing in who you are. And I'm a sucker for those types of stories. They really work well for me. Zachary Levi gave a great performance in here, and like I said off the top, Mark Strong is one of my favorite actors working today, and I love his take on the villain. I forget his name, but I love the take. And the wizard in here is really cool. I think it's a great movie. It's a great fun movie, and one that I can rewatch and have a smile on my face every single time. Coming in at number 5, we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is a much improved version of the original Justice League movie. I'm glad HBO Max put this one out. It is 4 hours long. It is very long. You can't rewatch this in one sitting. At least I can't. I remember when I first watched this one, I had to do it in 2 sittings. But it's a really, really fun film. It's great, too. And I love how these characters are used. I love how we get an expansion on this whole story. This is where the final act, the villain, works way better in this film because we get more background, we get more context. I think Batman is handled way better in this film than he is in the original Justice League. I think that's the case for all the characters, actually. The visual effects are really cool in here. The story is much more grounded and makes much more sense. And I can definitely get behind this one a lot more than I could with the original one. I just think this one works great. And I love the end, even though it's kind of like, has a lot of endings, but it's just because I think Zack Snyder just threw them all in because he knew this was his only chance to kind of get everything out there that he wanted to. And I like it. It's not one that I'll rewatch a lot because of the length, but I think as a film itself, it stands pretty high in my list, and I think it's the same for a lot of other people out there too. Coming in at number 4, we have the newest one, and that is The Flash. This is where it falls. I love Batman in this film, played by Michael Keaton. I think he is the best part of this film. He is the main reason to see this one. It's definitely what the marketing is going for, too. But yeah, just everything done with his character. His take on Batman is phenomenal in this film, and I love seeing him back wearing the cape. I will say, I know, again, a lot of controversy. I'm not going to touch on that right now, because that you can check a little bit of that out in my review, but I'm not going to do it here. Ezra Miller, I think, did do a good job playing both Barry Allen roles, because there are 2 of him in here, but this third act of this movie is just something I can't get behind. It really fell lackluster, and it just went downhill and made not a lot of sense in my mind. The visual effects also were a problem for me watching this one. It took me out of the film, but the way that, the scenes are done with him running really fast, I thought was done well. The beginning of this film is actually really fun. I think it's great. I love seeing Ben Affleck back as Batman in this one. I think it's the best he's been as Batman, even though he's only in it for like 5 minutes. There is great cameos, great fun in here, and Andy Muschietti is the hero of this film. He did a fantastic job directing this one. And I'm excited to see him direct Batman the Brave and the Bold, because we know that's where it's going. They just haven't announced it yet. And I also want to end it by, I do not condone any of the actions that Ezra Miller has done. I think they should be held accountable, and if jail time is required for their actions, if they find that in a court of law, we support that here. So yeah, that's my case on that. Coming in at number 3, we have Aquaman. I enjoy this movie. I think it's fun. Jason Momoa is fantastic, so charismatic, and he really cares about this role. And I love seeing him in here. I think Patrick Wilson is a great villain in this one. Nicole Kidman as Aquaman's mom is great. His dad and their storyline is fantastic, and seeing that love story on the screen is great. The CGI in here is a little iffy, not the best, but definitely not the worst in the DC films. And it's one that, again, it's just fun. The story is great. I love going into Atlantis, exploring that world, getting to know Arthur Curry more as a person, getting him to know himself more as this hero of Aquaman, I think is great. It is a fun time for sure, and one I rewatch more than most. Coming in at number 2, we have Wonder Woman. I absolutely love this film, and I think it's phenomenal. The only part I do not like is the third act. I think that is where the film goes from being really, really great to just great. That tier might not make sense, but it does for me. I'll tell you why. The villain in that third act, when it's revealed and that whole fight scene and everything like that, doesn't always work for me. When I go back to rewatch it, I'm like, oh yeah, that happened, didn't it? That's why I don't like it as much as my number 1. Shoot. But I love Gal Gadot in here. I think she is fantastic. Her action scenes are amazing. The story of Diana Prince, Steve Trevor, and their relationship in here, chef's kiss. I love it. I think Chris Pine does a fantastic job in this one as well. Directed by Patty Jenkins, and she knocked it out of the park with this one. It is obviously my favorite take on the character, and I wish we were getting more of Gal Gadot. I know we're not, but I absolutely love the first Wonder Woman. I wish the second one was way better, but this first one is iconic in so many ways. The visuals, her storytelling, how she's handled right in this story. I couldn't have asked for a better Wonder Woman movie, only if that third act was improved by a little bit. Coming in at number 1, we have Man of Steel. I love this movie. It's my favorite DCEU film. I think Henry Cavill is an amazing Superman. I love Zod, how Krypton is handled in here. Russell Crowe's fantastic. Michael Shannon as Zod. All of it. Amy Adams is fantastic. Kevin Costner in here as Clark's dad, as well as the amazing Diane Lane. A great cast is assembled here in this film, and they all do a fantastic job. I love how this movie is constructed. I love the darker take. I feel like it's definitely a different take on Superman, but I love it. I love how dark it is, how gritty it is, how serious they handle him, how we get to see the U.S. react to Superman's presence. Is he a threat? Is he a friend? I think it's all done great. The CGI in here, I think, is actually pretty good. It's definitely the Krypton stuff and the Krypton battle kind of on Earth is better in this film than it is in The Flash. I'll say that, especially the CGI. But yeah, I don't know. I just think Henry Cavill is phenomenal in here, and that is really the heart of this movie, is his performance. You can tell how much he cares about the character. Obviously, he has over the years as he has played him. I will miss him in this role. I walked into this movie not knowing what to expect, but I walked out with a huge smile on my face, loving it, rewatching it so many times, and I just love always revisiting this certain movie, and that's why it's my number 1 DCEU film. So, with that being said, guys, that's my list. Let me know yours down below in the comments. I'm very excited to read up on that. And, well, like I said at the top here, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I would love to have you guys along for the journey. So, please, we do content like this all the time here on the channel. So, stick around, subscribe, share this channel to anybody who loves this type of content and entertainment content. That would be awesome. So, until the next one, everybody, I'm Tyson Honecker. I'll catch you on the next one.